Logan, your game is over. Everyone knows who you really are.
Nothing says true love like your fiancée keeping her ex's name for the status points. I should have proposed with a LinkedIn connection request instead of a diamond ring. Ethan, I've been thinking, Vanessa said, delicately sipping her organic fair trade coffee while scrolling through her phone. The morning light streaming through our floor-to-ceiling windows caught the highlights in her perfectly styled blonde hair. Even at 7 a.m., she looked camera-ready for her PR executive lifestyle. I looked up from my architectural blueprints spread across our granite kitchen island. That's always dangerous territory, Ness. She didn't laugh at my joke. Bad sign number 1. I want to hyphenate my name when we get married. Vanessa Hart West. I nearly choked on my coffee. West? As in Logan West, your ex-boyfriend Logan West? It's more prestigious than Hart Blake, she said without looking up from her phone. Logan's family has connections in the city. The West name opens doors. I stared at her, waiting for the punchline that never came. You want to marry me, but keep your ex's name because it sounds better at cocktail parties? Don't be dramatic, Ethan. It's about networking. Image matters in my business. Right. Because nothing screams happily married like carrying your ex-boyfriend's surname to impress strangers at charity galas. If you say so, I replied, returning to my blueprints. The new community center design suddenly seemed less important than the woman sitting across from me, casually dismantling our relationship one status symbol at a time. Vanessa's phone buzzed. She smiled at the screen, the kind of smile I hadn't seen directed at me in months. Who's texting you this early? I asked. Just work stuff, she said quickly, flipping the phone face down. Chloe's having another crisis about the Henderson account. Chloe Martinez, her maid of honor and fellow PR executive, specialized in creating drama where none existed. If Chloe was involved, this day was about to get significantly worse. My phone buzzed. A text from my best friend Riley. Dude, check the group chat. Your bride-to-be just dropped a nuclear bomb. I opened the wedding planning group chat Vanessa had insisted we create. 47 unread messages, all from the last 10 minutes. Chloe. OMG, Vanessa just told us about the name thing. Hart West sounds so much classier than Hart Blake. Jessica, bridesmaid. Wait, West like Logan West? Her ex? Chloe. Yes. Isn't that sophisticated? She's keeping the prestigious connection. Amanda, bridesmaid. That's unusual. What does Ethan think? Chloe. Men don't understand these things. It's about social positioning. My jaw clenched. Apparently, I was too simple-minded to grasp the complex social dynamics of keeping your ex's name while marrying someone else. I looked at Vanessa, still absorbed in her phone. The girls seem excited about your name decision. They understand the importance of maintaining professional connections, she said. You should try to see the bigger picture, Ethan. The bigger picture, right. The picture where I'm the placeholder husband while she maintains her connection to Logan West, heir to West Development Corporation and her ex-boyfriend of 3 years. I need to get to the office, I said, gathering my blueprints. Don't forget we have dinner with my mother tonight, Vanessa called as I headed for the door. She wants to discuss the seating arrangements. Of course she did. Mother Hart, who had made it crystal clear that her daughter was settling for a common architect when she could have married into old money. I drove to Blake and Associates Architecture, my mind racing. In the parking garage, I sat in my car and pulled out my phone. Time for a little creative problem solving. I opened the wedding invitation design we'd approved last week. With a few quick edits, the elegant script now read, Vanessa Hart and Ethan Blake request the pleasure of your company. Groom still considering alternatives. I hit send to the printer. If Vanessa wanted to play status games, I could play too. My phone rang. Riley. Bro, what the heck is happening? The group chat is blowing up about Vanessa keeping her ex's name. Apparently, Hart West has a better ring to it than Hart Blake, I said, walking into my office building. That's messed up, man. You're not seriously okay with this. I'm adapting, I said. Darwin's theory of evolution and all that. This isn't adaptation. This is humiliation. What's your play? Riley Thompson, former Marine and current construction foreman, had a talent for cutting through nonsense. He also had a talent for creative revenge, which had gotten us both into trouble during our college years. I'm keeping my options open, I said. Want some help keeping those options open? I smiled for the first time that morning. I'll let you know. At my desk, I found Sam Rodriguez, my junior architect, waiting with coffee and a concerned expression. Rough morning? He asked. My fiancée wants to hyphenate her name with her ex-boyfriend's surname for status reasons. Sam nearly dropped his coffee. Wow, that's a new level of brutal. It gets better. Apparently, I'm too simple to understand the sophisticated social dynamics involved. What are you going to do? I looked at my computer screen, then at the wedding planning timeline pinned to my office wall. 3 weeks until the wedding. 3 weeks to decide if I was going to be Ethan Blake, husband to Vanessa Hart West, or if I was going to remind everyone involved that I wasn't as simple as they assumed. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Looking forward to seeing you at the wedding. It'll be just like old times. L. Logan, texting me directly now. I showed Sam the message. Dude, that's not normal, Sam said. Ex-boyfriends don't text the groom unless something's up. I stared at the message, pieces of a puzzle starting to form in my mind. Vanessa's secretive phone behavior, her sudden interest in keeping Logan's name, the mysterious early morning texts she claimed were from Chloe. Sam, how good are you with social media investigation? Depends on what you need to find. I need to know if my fiancé is planning to marry me or just using me as a placeholder. Sam's expression grew serious. That's a dangerous question to ask. It's a more dangerous question not to ask. My office phone rang. Vanessa. Ethan, Chloe just called. She said you changed the wedding invitations. Something about grooms still considering alternatives. Just keeping my options open, sweetheart. Like you are. What's that supposed to mean? It means I got an interesting text from Logan this morning. Silence. We need to talk, she said finally. Yes, we do, but first I have a wedding to plan. I hung up and looked at Sam. Ready to do some detective work? The downtown offices of Hart & Associates PR buzzed with the kind of artificial energy that came from too much caffeine and too little genuine purpose. I sat in my car across the street watching Vanessa through the floor-to-ceiling windows of her corner office. She was on the phone, gesturing animatedly, her face flushed with the kind of excitement I hadn't seen when she talked to me in months. Sam had delivered his preliminary social media report that morning. Logan West had been liking and commenting on Vanessa's posts with suspicious frequency. Not just casual likes, but the kind of detailed, flirty comments that suggested intimate knowledge of her daily life. Looking beautiful as always, V. That restaurant has special memories for us. Remember when we talked about traveling to Tuscany? Still think you'd love it there. Some things never change. You still have the best taste in wine. Each comment was a small knife twist, especially since Vanessa and I had never been to that restaurant and never discussed Tuscany, and she claimed to prefer beer over wine when we went out. My phone buzzed. Riley. Status report, soldier. What's the intel? Target is maintaining suspicious communication patterns with hostile forces, I replied, watching Vanessa laugh at something on her phone screen. Translation for us civilians? She's definitely talking to Logan more than she admitted. Question is whether it's innocent networking or something more. In my experience, when a woman wants to keep her ex's name, it ain't for networking. Through the window, I watched Vanessa end her call and immediately start texting someone. Her body language was different, relaxed, happy, the way she used to look when we first started dating. My phone buzzed with a text from Vanessa. Working late tonight, don't wait up. Interesting, considering she just finished her call and appeared to be packing up her office. I called Riley. Change of plans. I need backup for a reconnaissance mission. Now you're speaking my language. Where and when? Santino's bar downtown, 1 hour. Santino's was the kind of upscale establishment where Vanessa's PR crowd gathered to see and be seen. If she was meeting someone, it would be there. I arrived early and positioned myself at the bar with a clear view of the entrance and the private booth section. Riley joined me, looking uncomfortable in his hastily assembled civilian disguise of khakis and a button-down shirt. Feel like I'm playing dress-up, he muttered. You look fine. Just try not to intimidate anyone. Can't promise that. It's my natural state. At 7:30, Vanessa walked in. She'd changed from her conservative office attire into a black dress I'd never seen before, something that hugged her curves and suggested this wasn't a business meeting. She scanned the room, smiled, and walked directly to a corner booth where Logan West was waiting. Target acquired, Riley said quietly. Logan stood to greet her, and they embraced longer than necessary for ex-lovers who were just friends. He was exactly what you'd expect from old money. Perfectly styled dark hair, expensive suit, the kind of confident posture that came from never having to worry about anything more serious than which yacht to take for the weekend. They slid into the booth, sitting closer together than the spacious seating required. "This is not a business meeting," I said. "Definitely not," Riley agreed. "Want me to get closer? These ears have been trained by the military." "No, let's just observe for now." We watched them for 45 minutes. Their body language told the story. Leaning in close, touching hands across the table, Vanessa laughing in that genuine way she used to laugh with me. When Logan got up to use the restroom, Vanessa checked her appearance in her phone camera and reapplied lipstick. "She's primping for him," Riley observed. "That's not innocent." When Logan returned, he slid into the booth next to Vanessa instead of across from her. She didn't move away. My phone buzzed. A text from Vanessa. "Meeting running long, might be very late." I showed Riley the message. "She's lying to your face while sitting 10 feet away from you," he said. "What's the play?" I considered my options. Confront them directly and cause a scene, retreat and pretend I hadn't seen anything, or, "I'm going to introduce myself," I said. That's either brilliant or stupid, possibly both. I walked over to their booth before I could change my mind. They were so absorbed in their conversation that they didn't notice me until I was standing directly beside their table. Vanessa, what a surprise. She jumped like she'd been electrocuted, nearly spilling her wine. Logan looked up with the kind of calm arrogance that suggested he'd been expecting this moment. "Ethan, what are you doing here?" "Having a drink with Riley. Imagine my surprise seeing my fiancée here when she's supposed to be working late." Logan extended his hand. "You must be the groom, Logan West. I've heard so much about you." I shook his hand, applying just enough pressure to make it uncomfortable. "All good things, I hope." "Of course," Logan smiled. "Vanessa's told me about your architectural work." The pause before architectural work was deliberate, designed to make my profession sound quaint and unimportant. "Yes, I design buildings. People live and work in them. It's surprisingly fulfilling creating something permanent." "I'm sure it is," Logan said. "I'm more of a big-picture person myself. Vision, strategy, market positioning." "Market positioning," I repeated. "Like positioning yourself between engaged couples?" Vanessa's face went pale. "Ethan, don't be ridiculous. Logan and I were just catching up." "Catching up on old times, old restaurants, old travel plans to Tuscany?" Logan's confident expression flickered. He hadn't expected me to know about their social media interactions. "We're old friends," Logan said carefully. "Surely you're not threatened by Vanessa maintaining professional relationships." "Professional relationships," I said. "Is that what we're calling it?" I pulled out my phone and showed them Logan's Instagram comment from that morning. "Can't wait to see you tonight, beautiful. It's been too long." The silence stretched uncomfortably. "I should go," Vanessa said finally. "We can discuss this at home, Ethan." "Actually, I think we should discuss it right now," I said, sliding into the booth across from them, all three of us. Riley appeared beside the table, having apparently decided backup was needed. "Everything okay here?" Riley asked, his military bearing making him seem larger and more intimidating than usual. "Everything's fine," Logan said quickly. "We were just leaving." "No, stay," I said. "I'm curious about something, Logan. You texted me this morning, remember? Something about the wedding being just like old times. What did you mean by that?" Logan's composure finally cracked. "I was just being friendly." "Friendly?" I repeated. "The way you're being friendly with my fiancée while she tells me she's working late?" Vanessa stood up abruptly. "I don't have to listen to this. You're being paranoid and embarrassing." "Am I? Or am I finally paying attention?" She grabbed her purse and headed for the exit. Logan started to follow, but I caught his arm. "Logan, one more thing. About Vanessa wanting to hyphenate her name with yours. Whose idea was that?" His face told me everything I needed to know. "Have a good evening," I said, releasing his arm. "See you at the wedding?" Riley and I watched them leave separately, Vanessa storming out first, Logan following a few minutes later with considerably less confidence than he'd entered with. "Well, that was educational," Riley said. "Very. I think it's time to do some deeper investigation." "What kind of investigation?" I pulled out my phone and scrolled to Sam's contact. "The kind that requires technical expertise and a complete lack of moral boundaries. Now you're talking my language." Outside Santino's, I sat in my car and called Sam. "I need you to clone a phone," I said without preamble. "That's illegal in most circumstances. It's my fiancé's phone, and I have legitimate concerns about fidelity." "That's still morally questionable." Sam, if your fiancée was secretly meeting her ex-boyfriend while lying to you about working late and she wanted to keep his name when you got married, what would you do? Long pause. I'd want to know the truth. Exactly. Can you do it? I can clone the data when she's not actively using it. You'd need access to her phone for about 10 minutes. Consider it done. I hung up and stared at the bar where my fiancée had just lied to my face while sitting with her ex-boyfriend. 3 weeks until the wedding. 3 weeks to decide whether I was going to be the fool who married a woman still in love with someone else, or whether I was going to remind everyone involved that underestimating me was a serious mistake. My phone buzzed, a text from Vanessa. I'm staying at Chloe's tonight. We need space to think. I laughed out loud. Space to think or space to coordinate stories with her maid of honor? I texted back, take all the space you need. I'll be doing some thinking of my own. Time to find out exactly how deep this rabbit hole went. Vanessa returned home the next evening with the kind of forced cheerfulness that screamed guilty conscience. She'd brought Thai food from our favorite restaurant, an obvious peace offering, and was making an elaborate show of being the perfect fiancé. I thought we could have a quiet dinner and talk about the wedding, she said, unpacking containers of pad thai and green curry. I may have overreacted yesterday. May have, I agreed, watching her carefully. She was nervous, fidgeting with her phone more than usual. Logan and I really were just catching up. I should have been more transparent about meeting him. Transparency would be refreshing, I said. Speaking of which, can I see your phone? I want to add our wedding photographer's number to your contacts. It was a test, an innocent request that would reveal how much she had to hide. Vanessa's hand instinctively moved to protect her phone. I'll add it myself later. You know how particular I am about my contact organization. Strike one. An innocent person would have handed over their phone without hesitation. Of course, I said. You've always been organized. We ate dinner while making stilted conversation about wedding details. Vanessa kept checking her phone, claiming it was work emails, but her facial expressions suggested the messages were far more personal than professional. After dinner, she announced she needed a long bath to decompress from the stress. Perfect. I needed exactly 10 minutes of phone access, and Vanessa's baths were legendary for lasting an hour. I waited until I heard the bathroom water running, then found her phone charging on the nightstand. Sam had equipped me with a small device that looked like a phone charger but could clone data in minutes. I connected the device and waited, listening carefully for any change in the bathroom sounds. The clone completed in 8 minutes, plenty of time before Vanessa finished her bath. The next morning, I met Sam at a coffee shop downtown to review the cloned data. Dude, Sam said, scrolling through the messages on his laptop. This is worse than you thought. He turned the screen toward me. Months of text messages between Vanessa and Logan, dating back to 2 weeks after our engagement. Logan. Saw the engagement announcement. Are you sure about this? Vanessa. It's complicated. Ethan's stable, reliable, good husband material. Logan. But do you love him? Vanessa. I love the life we're building. That's enough, right? My stomach clenched, but Sam kept scrolling. Logan. I miss us. I miss what we had. Vanessa. I miss it too, but you weren't ready to settle down. Logan. I'm ready now. The business is stable, my trust fund fully vested. We could have everything we talked about. Vanessa. It's too late. The wedding's planned, deposits paid. Logan. It's not too late until you say, I do. The messages continued, growing more intimate and desperate over time. Plans to meet secretly, discussions about what-if scenarios. Logan promising he'd changed, that he was ready to give her the life she'd always wanted. And then, 3 days ago, Logan. I have a proposition. What if you could have both, security and passion? Vanessa. What do you mean? Logan. Marry him for stability. Keep me for everything else. Vanessa. That's not fair to Ethan. Logan. Since when do you care about fair? You're marrying him for his house and his steady income, not for love. Vanessa. That's not entirely true. Logan. Isn't it? When's the last time you felt excited to see him? When's the last time he made your heart race? Vanessa. Stop. Logan. I make your heart race. I always have. Vanessa. This is crazy. Logan. Crazy would be throwing away what we have for a boring life with a boring man. And finally, yesterday. Vanessa. I've been thinking about your proposition. Logan. And, Vanessa, maybe we could find a way to make it work. But I need the security of marriage first. Logan. So you'll go through with the wedding. Vanessa. For now. We can figure out the rest later. I stared at the screen, feeling like I'd been punched in the stomach. There's more, Sam said quietly. He showed me a series of photos Vanessa had sent to Logan. Pictures of our house, our bank statements, even my architectural portfolio. She's been giving him intelligence on your finances and career, Sam said. Look at this. He showed me a message thread where Logan and Vanessa discussed my upcoming promotion at the firm, a promotion I hadn't even told Vanessa about yet. Logan, how did you find out about his promotion? Vanessa, I went through his home office. He's getting a 40% raise in partnership track. Logan, perfect. That makes the marriage even more financially advantageous. Vanessa, I feel terrible about this. Logan, you'll feel worse if you spend the rest of your life wondering what if. She's been spying on me, I said, the full scope of the betrayal sinking in. This isn't just an affair. This is a calculated financial arrangement. It gets worse, Sam said. Look at the most recent messages. Logan, I've been thinking about the name thing. If you take Heart West, it maintains our connection publicly. Vanessa, Ethan wasn't thrilled about that. Logan, Ethan doesn't need to understand. It's about keeping doors open. Vanessa, what if he gets suspicious? Logan, he's an architect, not a detective. He builds buildings and trusts people. That's what makes him perfect for this arrangement. I closed the laptop, my hands shaking with rage. What's your play? Sam asked. I need to think, and I need to make some calls. I drove home in a daze, my mind racing through 3 years of relationship memories, looking for signs I'd missed. How long had she been playing me? Had any of it been real? At home, I found Vanessa in the kitchen, humming while she made coffee. She looked genuinely happy for the first time in weeks. Good morning, sweetheart, she said, kissing my cheek. Sleep well? The casual affection felt like acid on my skin. Everything was performance now. Like a baby, I lied. You seem cheerful this morning. I'm excited about the wedding. Only 2.5 weeks left. 2.5 weeks until she legally secured access to my finances while planning to continue her relationship with Logan. Can't wait, I said. My phone buzzed. Riley. Coffee, I have updates on our mutual friend. Be right there. I met Riley at our usual diner, where he slid a manila folder across the table. Background check on Logan West, he said. Turns out your boy isn't as successful as he pretends to be. I opened the folder. Financial records, business filings, social media analysis. His trust fund got frozen last year due to a family dispute, Riley continued. His successful social media company is hemorrhaging money. He's been living on credit cards and loans for months. So he needs money. Desperately. And guess who just got engaged to an architect with a house, savings, and a promotion coming? The pieces fell into place. Logan wasn't just trying to steal my fiancée. He was trying to steal my financial stability along with her. There's more, Riley said. I talked to some people in the construction industry. Logan's been asking around about your projects, your client list, your business relationships. Industrial espionage. Exactly. He's not just planning to steal your woman, he's planning to steal your career. I sat back, the full scope of their plan becoming clear. Vanessa would marry me, giving Logan access to my professional network and financial resources through her. They'd continue their relationship while sapping me dry professionally and personally. So what's the plan? Riley asked. I looked at the evidence spread across the table, financial records, text messages, photographs, business intelligence. They'd been planning this for months, thinking I was too trusting and naive to figure it out. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The plan, I said, is to give them exactly what they deserve. Now you're talking. What do you need? I need you to help me plan a wedding they'll never forget. Riley grinned. This is going to be fun. The next morning, I implemented phase 1 of what Riley had dubbed Operation Wedding Crasher. If Vanessa and Logan wanted to play games, I'd show them how a real strategist operated. I started with the wedding vendors. As the groom paying for most of the wedding, I had access to all the contracts and vendor relationships. A few phone calls and strategic password changes later, Vanessa would find herself locked out of making any wedding modifications without my explicit approval. I'm sorry, Miss Hart, the florist would tell her. Mr. Blake specifically requested that all changes go through him directly. Something about wanting to surprise you? The catering company received similar instructions. The photographer, the DJ, the venue coordinator, everyone now required my personal authorization for any changes. My phone started ringing at 10 a.m. Ethan, there's something wrong with the wedding vendors, Vanessa said, her voice tight with frustration. They won't let me make any changes without talking to you first. Really? That's strange. What kind of changes were you trying to make? Just Small adjustments, but that's not the point. I should be able to modify my own wedding arrangements. Our wedding arrangements, I corrected. And I'm sure it's just a misunderstanding. I'll look into it. Please do. And can you look into the bank accounts too? I tried to transfer money for the dress alterations, but the account seems to be frozen. I smiled. Phase 2 was already working. I had moved our joint wedding account into a new account requiring both signatures for any withdrawals. I'll check on that too, sweetheart. Probably just a bank error. After hanging up, I called Sam. Status report on our social media project? Ready to deploy, Sam said. I've created a comprehensive digital trail showing Logan's financial problems and business failures. One click and it goes live across all major platforms. Hold that for now. I want to see how desperate they get first. Next, I called Riley. Phase 3 is a go. You ready for some construction work? Always. What's the target? Logan's car. I want him to understand that his actions have consequences. That evening, Riley and I waited in the parking garage of Logan's luxury apartment building. His silver BMW sat in its assigned spot, gleaming under the fluorescent lights. Remember, I told Riley, nothing permanent, nothing criminal, just educational. Riley grinned and pulled out a tube of washable paint. Don't worry, this is artistic expression. We spent 20 minutes decorating Logan's car with messages like status over soul and borrowed time, borrowed money. The paint would wash off, but not before making a very public statement about Logan's character. We also placed a small GPS tracker under his bumper, completely legal since it was in a public parking garage, and I wanted to know where he was going. The next morning, my phone exploded with angry texts from Logan. Logan, what the heck is wrong with you? You vandalized my car. Me. I have no idea what you're talking about. Maybe you have other enemies. Logan. This is harassment. I could call the police. Me. Please do. I'm sure they'd be very interested in your recent activities. The GPS tracker revealed Logan's panic response. He drove straight to a car wash, then to Vanessa's office. They spent 2 hours together, probably strategizing their next move. That afternoon, Vanessa came home early, her face flushed with anger. We need to talk, she announced. Of course. What's on your mind? Logan thinks you're trying to sabotage our friendship. Your friendship, I repeated. Is that what we're calling it? Don't start with the paranoid accusations again. Logan is concerned that you're becoming unstable. Unstable, I said. Interesting choice of words. What exactly did Logan tell you? He said you confronted him at the bar, made threats, and now someone vandalized his car. He thinks you're having some kind of breakdown. I laughed, genuinely amused by Logan's version of events. Did he mention why I might be concerned about your friendship? There's nothing to be concerned about. We're just friends. Friends who meet secretly while you lie to me about working late? I didn't lie. I was working, and then I met Logan afterward. Semantics, I said. The point is, you're prioritizing your relationship with your ex-boyfriend over transparency with your fiancé. You're being ridiculous. Am I? Let me ask you something, Vanessa. Why do you really want to keep Logan's name when we get married? She hesitated just long enough to confirm my suspicions. I told you, it's about professional networking. Right, professional networking. Nothing to do with maintaining a personal connection to Logan. You're paranoid, Ethan. This is exactly why Logan is concerned about your mental state. I pulled out my phone and opened the cloned message thread. Logan's concerned about my mental state, I said, scrolling to a particularly damning exchange. Let me read you something. Ethan's an architect, not a detective. He builds buildings and trusts people. That's what makes him perfect for this arrangement. Vanessa's face went white. How did you get access to your private messages? The same way you got access to my financial records and business files. She stared at me, realizing the game was over. Ethan, I can explain. I'm sure you can. But first, let me share some of my favorite highlights. I scrolled through the messages, reading aloud. Marry him for stability. Keep me for everything else. That's a beautiful sentiment, don't you think? Vanessa sank onto the couch, her carefully constructed facade crumbling. It's not what it looks like. It looks like you and Logan plan to use me as a financial safety net while continuing your relationship behind my back. What part am I misunderstanding? We haven't been physical since our engagement. Yet. You haven't been physical yet, but you were planning to be after the wedding. She couldn't deny it. Logan was confused, she said finally. He didn't know what he wanted when we broke up. Now he realizes he made a mistake. So you decided to hedge your bets, Marry me for security, keep him for passion. It wasn't supposed to happen this way. No, it was supposed to happen exactly this way. You've been planning this for months. I showed her the messages about my promotion, my finances, my business contacts. You've been spying on me, Vanessa, gathering intelligence for Logan to use against my career. It's exactly what it is. Industrial espionage with a side of emotional manipulation. She started crying, but the tears felt calculated, performed. What do you want me to do? She asked. I want you to understand that I'm not the naive, trusting fool you and Logan assumed I was. What does that mean? I smiled, thinking about the comprehensive revenge plan Riley and I had developed. It means the next 2 weeks are going to be very educational for everyone involved. Ethan, please, we can work this out. Oh, we're definitely going to work this out, just not the way you expected. I stood up and headed for the door. Where are you going? To plan a wedding. Don't wait up. Outside, I called Riley. Phase 4 is a go. Time to take this public. Finally, I was getting bored with the subtle approach. Subtle was never going to be enough. These people think they're smarter than everyone else. Time to show them what real intelligence looks like. What's the target? Everyone. Vanessa, Logan, their friends, their families, everyone who enabled the situation. By the time we're done, they'll understand exactly what happens when you underestimate the wrong person. Now you're speaking my language. What's first? I looked back at the house where Vanessa was probably calling Logan to report that their plan had been discovered. First, we let them panic. Desperate people make stupid mistakes. And then we give them a wedding they'll never forget. The wedding rehearsal was scheduled for Friday evening at the Grandview Hotel ballroom, exactly 1 week before the ceremony. I'd spent the intervening days watching Vanessa and Logan scramble to contain the damage from my discovery of their plan. They'd switched to encrypted messaging apps, but Sam had already cloned Vanessa's phone, giving us access to everything. Their panic was evident in every desperate message. Logan, he knows everything. We need to call off the wedding. Vanessa, I can't call off the wedding. Do you know how much money we'd lose? How humiliated I'd be? Logan, better humiliated than destroyed. He's planning something. Vanessa, Ethan's not vindictive. He's hurt, but he'll calm down. They still didn't understand who they were dealing with. I arrived at the rehearsal early, ostensibly to check the technical setup, but actually to implement the final phase of my plan. Riley had helped me prepare a special presentation for the evening's festivities. The wedding party gathered in the elegant ballroom. Vanessa's bridesmaids, my groomsmen, both sets of parents, and the officiant. Everyone was dressed in their rehearsal finest, ready to practice for what they assumed would be a traditional wedding ceremony. Vanessa looked stunning in a blue cocktail dress, playing the role of blushing bride-to-be. She kept glancing at her phone, clearly expecting updates from Logan, who had conspicuously declined to attend the rehearsal. "Shall we begin?" asked Reverend Martinez, the officiant we'd hired. "Actually," I said, "I have a special presentation first, a tribute to my beautiful bride and our journey together." I'd told Vanessa about the slideshow earlier, describing it as a romantic retrospective of our relationship. She'd been thrilled, thinking it was my way of making amends. "That's so sweet, honey," she said, squeezing my arm. "I love surprises." "I know you do," I replied. I connected my laptop to the ballroom's projection system. The first few slides were exactly what everyone expected. Photos of Vanessa and me from our early dating days, romantic vacations, the proposal. The audience smiled and made appreciative sounds. Ethan and Vanessa's love story, I narrated, is truly unique. It's a story about second chances, hidden connections, and the importance of maintaining meaningful relationships from your past. Vanessa beamed, thinking I was being romantic. Her mother, who had never approved of me, even looked grudgingly impressed. For example, I continued, many people don't know that Vanessa has maintained a close friendship with her ex-boyfriend, Logan West, throughout our entire relationship. The slide changed to show screenshots of Logan's social media comments on Vanessa's photos, dating back 2 years. Vanessa's smile faltered. "Ethan, what are you doing?" "Just sharing the complete story of our relationship," I said cheerfully, including the parts some people might not know about. The next slide showed a timeline of Vanessa and Logan's secret meetings, compiled from GPS data, social media check-ins, and credit card records that Sam had helped me analyze. "Vanessa and Logan have met privately 17 times since our engagement," I continued. including dinner dates, coffee meetings, and afternoon rendezvous at Logan's apartment. The room grew uncomfortably quiet. Vanessa's father cleared his throat awkwardly. "Son, maybe this isn't the appropriate venue." "Oh, but it gets better," I said, advancing to the next slide. "You see, Vanessa and Logan have been planning something very special, a unique arrangement that would allow Vanessa to have both security and passion in her life." The slide displayed their text message exchange about marrying me for stability while keeping Logan for everything else. Vanessa lunged toward the laptop, but Riley, positioned strategically near the tech setup, blocked her path. "Let's not interrupt the presentation," Riley said calmly. "It's just getting to the good part." "This is private!" Vanessa shouted. "You can't show people our personal messages!" "Actually, I can," I said. "These messages were sent from devices using our shared phone plan, which I pay for. Legally, I have access to them." The next slide showed Logan's financial records, his frozen trust fund, failing business, and mounting debts. Logan, as it turns out, isn't quite the successful entrepreneur Vanessa thought she was reconnecting with, I explained. He's been living on credit cards and loans for the past year, desperately looking for a financial lifeline. Vanessa's mother gasped. "Vanessa, is this true?" "Mom, I can explain." "The explanation is quite simple," I continued, advancing to a slide showing Vanessa's messages about my promotion and financial information. Logan needed money. Vanessa wanted passion and security. They decided I could provide the security while Logan provided everything else. The room erupted in shocked murmurs. Vanessa's bridesmaids stared at her in horror. My groomsmen looked like they wanted to disappear. "But wait," I said, "there's more." The final slide showed their plan for Vanessa to take the name Heart West, maintaining her public connection to Logan while married to me. The name hyphenation wasn't about professional networking, I explained. It was about keeping doors open for their continued relationship. Vanessa was crying now, but they weren't tears of remorse. They were tears of rage and humiliation. "You bastard," she hissed. "How dare you humiliate me like this?" "Humiliate you?" I laughed. "Vanessa, you humiliated yourself. I'm just making sure everyone understands what kind of person they've been celebrating." Reverend Martinez stepped forward. "Perhaps we should postpone the ceremony until these issues can be resolved privately." "There won't be a ceremony to postpone," I announced. "The wedding is canceled." "Ethan, wait," Vanessa's father said. "Surely you two can work this out. Pre-wedding jitters happen to everyone." "This isn't pre-wedding jitters," I said. "This is fraud. Your daughter was planning to commit marriage fraud while conducting an affair with her financially desperate ex-boyfriend." I packed up my laptop while the room buzzed with shocked conversations. Vanessa's friends clustered around her, some offering comfort, others clearly distancing themselves from the scandal. "The deposits," Vanessa's mother started, "are forfeit," I finished. "Consider it the cost of a very expensive education about the consequences of betrayal." As I headed for the exit, Chloe, Vanessa's maid of honor, blocked my path. "You're destroying her life," Chloe said angrily. "She made a mistake, but this is cruel." "A mistake?" I stared at her. "Chloe, she planned this for months. She spied on my finances, lied to my face repeatedly, and was planning to commit adultery immediately after our wedding. That's not a mistake. That's a calculated betrayal. Everyone makes bad choices when they're confused about love." "Did you know?" I asked. "About Logan, about their plan?" Chloe's guilty expression was answer enough. "You all knew," I realized. The whole wedding party knew she was playing me. "We thought she'd come to her senses," Chloe said weakly. "Instead, you all decided I was too stupid to figure it out on my own." I looked around the room at the faces of people I'd considered friends, people who had watched me plan and pay for a wedding to a woman they knew was betraying me. "Consider this my resignation from your social circle," I announced. "I prefer the company of people with actual integrity." Outside the hotel, Riley was waiting by my car. "How'd it go?" he asked. "Better than expected. Half the room looked like they wanted to applaud." "And Vanessa?" "Vanessa looked like she wanted to commit homicide. Think she'll retaliate?" I smiled, thinking about the final surprise I had planned for tomorrow. I'm counting on it. Saturday morning brought a series of increasingly frantic phone calls and text messages from Vanessa, Logan, and their various enablers. The rehearsal dinner revelation had spread through social media overnight, turning their private scandal into public entertainment. "Vanessa, you've destroyed everything. I hope you're happy." Me, "I'm getting there." Logan, "This isn't over. You've made a powerful enemy." Me, I'm terrified of a man who can't pay his credit card bills. Chloe. Vanessa is devastated. How can you be so heartless? Me. Practice. But the most interesting call came from Mrs. Grafton, my 70-year-old neighbor who had appointed herself the neighborhood's unofficial intelligence network. Ethan, dear, I have some information you might find interesting, she said in her conspiratorial whisper, about your former fiancée and her gentleman friend. I'm listening. They're planning something for today. I overheard them talking in your driveway this morning. Very heated discussion about fixing the situation and making you pay for humiliating them. What kind of fixing? The young man mentioned something about your business reputation and showing people what kind of man you really are. They seemed quite angry. I thanked Mrs. Grafton and immediately called Sam. They're planning a counterattack, I told him. Can you monitor social media for any posts about me? Already on it, Sam said. Logan's been trying to create fake accounts to spread rumors about you being harmful and unstable. I've been flagging them as fast as he creates them. What about Vanessa? She's been calling your clients, trying to plant seeds about your erratic behavior and questionable business practices. I wasn't surprised. Desperate people resort to desperate measures. Time for the nuclear option, I said. The business records? Everything. Logan's financial fraud, Vanessa's industrial espionage, the whole conspiracy, release it all. Within an hour, Sam had published a comprehensive expose across multiple platforms. Logan's business failures, his attempts to manipulate Vanessa into marriage fraud, their plan to steal my client information, and evidence of Vanessa's corporate espionage activities at her own PR firm. The response was immediate and devastating. Logan's remaining business partners distanced themselves publicly. Vanessa's PR firm announced they were reviewing her employment status. Their mutual friends began posting their own stories about Logan's financial manipulation and Vanessa's duplicitous behavior. But Logan and Vanessa weren't finished. At 2 p.m., they showed up at my house together, clearly having decided that direct confrontation was their only remaining option. I watched from my window as they parked in my driveway and marched to my front door like they were leading a military assault. Logan looked haggard, his usual polished appearance replaced by the desperate energy of a man watching his world collapse. Vanessa appeared calm, but I recognized the dangerous stillness that preceded her most explosive outbursts. I opened the door before they could knock. "This is a surprise," I said. "I thought you'd be busy doing damage control." "We need to talk," Vanessa said, pushing past me into the house. Logan followed, his eyes scanning the room like he was looking for evidence or planning an escape route. "Make yourselves at home," I said sarcastically. "Can I offer you anything? Coffee? Water? A reality check?" "You think you're so clever," Logan said, his composure finally cracking. "Destroying people's lives because your feelings got hurt." "My feelings got hurt?" I laughed. "Logan, you tried to steal my fiancé, my money, and my business contacts. I'm not the victim here. I'm the guy who refused to be your victim. You humiliated Vanessa in front of everyone she knows," he continued. "That was cruel and unnecessary. What was unnecessary was planning to commit marriage fraud while conducting an affair. What was cruel was assuming I was too stupid to figure it out." Vanessa had been silent, but now she stepped forward with the cold fury I remembered from our worst arguments. "You want to destroy my life? Fine. But I'm taking you down with me." "How exactly do you plan to do that?" "I have 3 years of intimate knowledge about your business practices, your client relationships, your personal weaknesses. I can make your professional life very difficult." "You mean the business information you already stole and gave to Logan? That ship has sailed, Vanessa. There's more. Personal things, embarrassing things, things that could ruin your reputation if they became public." I stared at her, genuinely curious about what she thought she could use against me. Such as, "Your drinking problem, for starters." "I don't have a drinking problem. You will by the time I'm done talking to people. Your anger issues, your obsessive, controlling behavior, the way you stalked Logan and me, violated my privacy, harassed us both." "Interesting narrative," I said. "Unfortunately, I have documentation proving everything I did was legal and justified." Logan stepped closer, trying to use his height to intimidate me. "You think you've won, but you've just made enemies of people with connections, people who can hurt you." "People like you?" I asked. "Logan, you're broke. Your business is failing, your trust fund is frozen, and now everyone knows you're a con artist. What connections do you think you still have? More than you realize. Really? Let's test that theory. I pulled out my phone and dialed a number. Hi, this is Ethan Blake. Is Mr. Peterson available? Yes, I'll hold. Logan's face went pale. Peterson was the CEO of the West Development Corporation, Logan's family business and the source of his frozen trust fund. Mr. Peterson? Yes, I saw the news about Logan's situation. Actually, that's why I'm calling. I wanted to make sure you knew about his recent activities. I spent 5 minutes detailing Logan's attempts at marriage fraud, financial manipulation, and corporate espionage. Logan stood frozen, listening to his remaining family connections being systematically destroyed. Thank you for your time, Mr. Peterson. Yes, I'll send you the documentation. Have a good day. I hung up and looked at Logan's devastated expression. Still think you have connections that can hurt me? Vanessa grabbed Logan's arm. We should go. Not yet, Logan said, his desperation turning dangerous. He's destroyed everything. My business, my family relationships, my reputation. I have nothing left to lose. Logan, don't do anything stupid, Vanessa warned. But Logan was past listening to reason. He stepped closer to me, his hands clenched into fists. You think you're so smart, so superior, but you're just a pathetic man who couldn't keep his woman happy. My woman, I laughed. Logan, she was never my woman. She was a con artist who saw me as a meal ticket, just like she saw you as a status symbol. The difference is, I figured it out before I got completely played. She loved me. She used you, just like she used me. The only difference is, you were too broke to be useful for very long. Logan swung at me, but 3 years of expecting this moment had prepared me. I sidestepped easily, letting his momentum carry him past me into the coffee table. Riley chose that moment to walk through my back door, having been monitoring the situation from my backyard. Everything okay in here? He asked casually, though his military bearing made it clear he was ready for trouble. Logan scrambled to his feet, looking between Riley and me. This isn't over, he said. Yes, it is, I replied. Logan, you're broke, discredited, and about to be completely cut off from your family money. Vanessa, you're probably going to lose your job, and everyone in your social circle now knows exactly what kind of person you are. It's over because you have nothing left to fight with. We'll see about that, Vanessa said, but her voice lacked conviction. They headed for the door, their grand confrontation having accomplished nothing except further humiliating themselves. Vanessa? I called as they reached the threshold. She turned back. For what it's worth, I did love you. The person I thought you were, anyway. For just a moment, her mask slipped, and I saw something that might have been regret. I know, she said quietly. I'm sorry it ended this way. No, you're not. You're sorry you got caught. She didn't deny it. After they left, Riley and I sat on my couch drinking beer and processing the end of the most intense 2 weeks of my life. Think they'll try anything else? Riley asked. They're done. Logan's finished financially and professionally. Vanessa will probably leave town rather than face the social consequences. And you? How do you feel? I considered the question. 3 weeks ago, I'd been planning to marry a woman I thought I loved. Now I was sitting in my house, alone, having systematically destroyed the lives of 2 people who had tried to destroy mine. I feel like I learned something important about the difference between being nice and being naive, I said finally. What's next? I looked around my house, not our house, and thought about the future I'd almost thrown away. Next, I build a life worth protecting, and I make sure I never again mistake someone's performance for their character. Riley raised his beer bottle. To hard-earned wisdom. To hard-earned wisdom, I agreed. Outside, Mrs. Grafton was probably watching from her window, ready to report the latest developments to the Neighborhood Intelligence Network. Tomorrow, I'd go back to work, where my colleagues would treat me with the mixture of sympathy and admiration reserved for people who'd survived a close call with disaster. But tonight, I was content to sit in my own house, drinking beer with my most loyal friend, knowing that I faced the worst kind of betrayal and come out stronger. The wedding that never happened had taught me more about love, loyalty, and self-respect than the marriage ever could have, and that was worth celebrating.